views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Born in 1908, Thurgood Marshall studied law at Howard University. Using the knowledge and education he gained at the school, Marshall became a champion for equality for African Americans. His work with the community led him to break down barriers with the education system, winning Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. As a result, the Supreme Court ended racial segregation in public schools. For Marshall, his work and dedication led him to being appointed to the Supreme Court in 1967. With that, he became an inspiration for numerous individuals looking to follow in his footsteps. Today, it is that very idea that is the mission of the Bronx program he is named after.
All right. Drop a knife. Our second witness is Francis Goodwill. Other than the three involved in the altercation, Francis Goodwill is the
Founded in 1997, the Thurgood Marshall Jr. Mock Trial Program has worked to establish a foundation of knowledge for middle school students interested in the judicial and law fields.
Danny Smith and Joe Morris.
Let's give a strong round of applause to the Honorable Eddie McShane for the great job that he's done. How many of you are from the Bronx? Make some noise. We want to welcome you to Borough Hall. We want to welcome you here to the Rotunda. We want to thank you and all of the teachers, all of the coaches, all of the adults who have really invested your time for this wonderful, wonderful mock trial event. This has been going on for 20 years. And this happens because there was a young visionary in the Honorable Supreme Court Judge, acting Supreme Court Judge. We're gonna be Supreme Court Judge. Elizabeth Taylor. Let's give Elizabeth Taylor a strong round of applause.
This particular court, where the idea for the Thurgood Marshall competition was born by two young lawyers at the time who worked here in the courthouse, who've, in their own right, risen to become justices of the Supreme Court. But I'm talking about Judge Elizabeth Taylor and Judge Eddie McShane, two Bronxites who we're just so proud of for not only what they've done with their own lives, but being a role model and being the driving force that will be a model for other locations around the country to emulate in dealing with young people in the 7th and 8th grade and really giving them a direction to strive for in their life.
Judge Taylor, Elizabeth Taylor, she is the founder of the Thurgood Marshall Junior Mock Trial Program, and she always tells the story, and she always had a passion to be a lawyer. Unlike me, I didn't know I wanted to be a lawyer until I was in law school, but she always indicated she wanted to be a lawyer, but she didn't have any role models or any mentors that looked like her to encourage her to become a lawyer.
I realized when I was in the 7th grade that I wanted to be an attorney. At that time, they didn't have any schools focusing on law, so I decided that when I graduated from law school that I would come back to the Bronx and start a program called the Thurgood Marshall Jr. Mock Trial Program.
The burden of proof is on the prosecution, and I assure you, they will not be able to prove my client, the defendant, Chris Ross, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You'll hear testimonies from witnesses A.C. Taylor, Pat Williams, and Chris Ross himself that on the night of June 15th, 2016, right here in Bronx County, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that he acted solely in self-defense.
We go into junior high schools, 7th and 8th graders. We get volunteers to go and work with the kids. And they create a team, and they're giving basically a case. They're broken up into two elements, prosecution and defense. And they also have the kids play the roles of the witnesses.
She stood right over him. I would say she's about 2 to 3 feet away from the victim. You do remember being asked this question and giving the following answer, correct?
Yes, vividly.
So, by standing over, you really mean 2 to 3 feet away, correct?
Well, I mean, I was 6 to an ankle, so from what I saw, that's what I'm testifying.
Your Honor, I ask that this be marked into evidence.
And they get to play out a real trial.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, on the night of June 15, 2016, the deceased Robin Jones came after Chris Rosh with a knife intending to kill him cold-blooded on the corner of Elm and Clark Street. On the night in particular, Mr. Jones had 4 to 5 mixed drinks and is known to have a violent behavior, especially after drinking. Within the community, he is known to be a bully and is known to carry a weapon on him.
Since its conception, the program has only grown in size, inspiring numerous lawyers to be a part of it, accomplishing Judge Taylor's goal in finding mentors for kids interested in law.
We're proud of this competition because of the extent that the community, our legal community, is a part of it. You know, we have some very fine lawyers giving of their time, working with junior high school or grammar school students, and doing it with a real vigor and a real passion. It's a remarkable thing to watch.
Mrs. Higgins, Dan Smith did say that she robbed Amy Chindu in your interview, didn't she? Yes or no answer?
No.
Oh, she didn't say it at all.
It says it in the interview.
Yes or no answer? Objection back. Your Honor, the witness just not answering my question in the form that I'm asking it.
Are you asking me to direct the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. If you could answer yes or no.
What impresses me with these students is with their ages, they're able to be passionate about what they're doing and taking on their roles. And watching these students, sometimes I forget their actual age because they take it on, they think on their feet, and I believe it's a positive introduction to the judicial system.
For 2 decades, 2 of our fine judges, starting off as young lawyers in our courthouse, saw fit to plant a seed that has grown in such a beautiful way that we're proud of them and we're proud of it.
You challenge her. You learn about, even if you decide you want to be a scientist or you're going to be an actress or an actor, whatever you decide, figure out what's your path, what is it that you like doing, okay? But there are going to be other...
It started with Judge Taylor. And from what I understand, my conversations with her about it, is that she felt that the Bronx needed something for students in the Bronx where they can come into the court. And one of the things that I find and what they've spoken to me about is how they feel like, yes, they can do this now. They've done it. And they'll ask me, well, how did you become a judge? And were you an attorney first? And who is he? And what is that chair for? They become very interested in the process, which I think is exactly what Judge Taylor wanted to do when she first started this program.
From the first day, we ask them questions. It's almost like a lesson in civics that we give them the first day or the first couple of weeks. Then we start breaking it down into, of course, you start out talking about the judiciary, the legislature, the branches of government, so they really understand the place of the judiciary in the big scheme. And then we break it down into the fact situation, and we have a lot of fun with it. They, for the most part, are so creative that they take us in different directions that we've never seen before.
So we started working with the students back in January, I'd say. We meet once a week in the beginning and twice a week after that. And usually they come at 7:30 at night. We spend about 2 hours together a week, sometimes 4 hours a week. So they work really hard and learn the facts and learn a lot about the law and get good exposure to the judicial system.
The thing we do mostly is we give them the fact pattern and then we make them argue it right away. So everybody gets a role and they start doing practices with the actual trial immediately. So they really get into it and it's adversarial and they really get into the flow of how to make their arguments and perfect it over time.
Now, Danny was about 4 or 5 feet away from you, wasn't she?
No, she was right on top of me. Objection, Your Honor. This is beyond the record. I would request a sidebar.
Your Honor, my witness's answers do not be on the record. And in fact, he answered to the best of his ability to that question.
Objection overruled.
And I was blown away by these young people under the age of 14 that know how to object, hearsay, badger. It just blew me away. So what I do is, beginning in January, I give up my lunch hour every Tuesday to go and coach these 8th graders with my co-coach, who's a prosecutor. I believe that the founder of this program, Elizabeth Taylor, is impacting lives for generations and decades to come. I think it is an amazing program.
They do a phenomenal job. A lot of times they don't even use papers for notes. You know, they learn this stuff, and I'm blown away. Every time I coordinate, I'm blown away.
It gives them the opportunity to engage in what a trial would look like, sound like, feel like, and to advocate for others. So it's about defending and being advocates and being real participants as civic-minded leaders.
And it just adds to them being a citizen and really learning about what it's like to be part of a community and part of the legal system in a positive way.
It's also about building student agency as we train our students to have a voice. It starts in the classroom, but this is where they actually practice in real-world situations and life skills, so we're happy to support them because they've made it to the finals for mock trials, so we're very proud of all our students in the Bronx.
I'll tell you, as a person, as a product of the public school system myself, it's a point of great pride to see how they developed and picked up on things and how they had a grasp and a passion. And all the kids on the mock trial team are involved in other activities, so they had to juggle a lot of things, and they're all very good academically. And to come out here today and perform the way they did, us as coaches and parents couldn't be more proud.
It's that hands-on training that has prepared students to argue their cases like professionals in the field. Throughout the mock trial, students take on multiple roles that are presented in a courtroom. At that point, each student is responsible for working with their team to win the case by presenting their research to a real-life judge.
I will have this marked as State Exhibit A for identification.
Okay, please show it to the defense counsel.
Your Honor, may I approach my witness?
Yes, you may.
For the kids participating, the experience and opportunity is a reward worth cherishing.
We intend to prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that this defendant, Chris Roush, is guilty of murder in the second degree. In this case, there's no dispute that the defendant shot and killed the victim, Robin Jones.
Every Wednesday we meet up, just our whole entire team, and we normally go over the trial as it was done today, because in our school we also have a prosecution team, but we practice our testimonies, we practice our questions and answers, and we go over possible objections that could happen, and we just get advice on what could happen and what we should do.
So that, like, say you're on trial later in life, then you have the experience so that you can do well and maybe protect your case, or it gives you insight of what it is to be a lawyer.
Your Honor, the defense moves to dismiss the indictment on the grounds that the prosecution has failed to provide a legally sufficient case. In particular, there has been no evidence offered for the requisite intent. There has been no evidence offered to show that Danny Smith intended on taking Bobby McShan's money. There's been no evidence offered to show that Danny Smith intended on helping Joe Morris take Bobby's money. And there has been no evidence offered to show that Danny Smith intended on helping Joe Morris cause serious physical injury to Bobby McShan.
Just rigorous practice, day after day. But, once you get used to that and you get the overall experience, it's an awesome experience.
And so Danny Smith was there with you, yes or no? And after this happened, the police officer came on the train, yes or no? Yes. And the police officer yelled freeze? Yes. And this statement was directed towards you and Danny Smith, yes or no? Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
I know that every time I come in the courtroom, no matter what happens, I'm always shaking. I'm very nervous, but I like being in the courtroom. I feel very comfortable because you'll hear some of the judges say some lawyers don't even get to go in courtroom, so I feel very happy to be in here.
And it was fantastic. I feel this rush of adrenaline when I do the opening statement and my questioning, and it just feels great.
It was great because I'm usually nervous, but this program has really let me open me up, and I would like to do this again.
I have never
done anything like being a witness, because last year I was a lawyer. So it was really great because during my cross-examination questions, I didn't really know what to expect, but it was still great because it was like you kind of had to think on your feet.
You really have to, it's kind of like you get really nervous at the beginning, but once you start to go, you kind of loosen up, and you have to like work with your witnesses for answers and stuff, but the other team, like you don't know what they're going to say, so you really have to like be on your feet.
A great opportunity to be here. Like, this has inspired me to be a lawyer. Before I did not want to be a lawyer. Now, like, it's awesome. It's great.
I'm a witness, and to be honest, it's utterly nerve-wracking. I mean, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know that you're prepared, but anything can happen. You have to give the right answer at the right time, and if you don't, the whole team's affected. So everything's on your shoulders, but once you've gone through it, you know that you did good. You know that you were prepared.
It's not only a competition, but this could be considered a sport in a way, where it's all about, you know, teamwork. Yes, thank you. And cooperation.
Well, I'm a lawyer and he's my witness. He's been a witness for 2 years and he's a really good friend of mine actually. So what I do is I direct him, I ask him questions about the case, and then he'll answer to his best of his ability, and he'll just help us support our case. And the good thing about mock trial is that we really can't function without each other, because if I'm not here, like in the practice in the mornings, then he can't work, and if he's not here, I can't work. So I think that being lawyer and witness, it really helps balance each other out.
It builds bonds because I wouldn't really even know his name if me and him didn't even try out last year. And, he directs me, he helps me with such, lawyer and, witness situations in the court. But also he helps me outside of school with, just homework and stuff. When because of this program, we really become close friends.
It's putting me in the right direction so I don't get caught up in mess or anything, and it helps me because it makes me feel better about myself. Like, I could go, judges, they even said that I was great.
It's like coaching a basketball game. When you train them, you show them how to do certain things. At the end of the day, it's up to them whether or not they execute that. And it's quite the experience to watch them. It's a remarkable experience, and I have nothing but faith in them. I love this. It's almost everything to me. We wake up early together and we train and we work and we see the benefits of hard work, and it's a fantastic program.
Welcome. This is a great day, and I've attended all types of ceremonies and events in this very room, and Mr. President, I don't think we've ever had one with a crowd like this, with this type of energy. I want to welcome you all. I want to congratulate you all. I know it's been a long road. You've all done outstanding. I want to particularly thank and congratulate the parents again, the coaches, and the teachers. And I took note that as each group was introduced, the teachers got the loudest applause and screams, and rightfully so. You have an extremely difficult job, the most important job in the world, because you are teaching our youth. And this program is about the youth. This program is about giving the youth skills, giving all you skills, and perhaps one day in the future, one of you will be sitting up here, as we are. And everybody sitting up here, by the way, comes from the Bronx, lives in the Bronx. I want to introduce someone as I say a few words to you. Mr. Edouard Estrada. Mr. Estrada is an attorney. He works for the Corporation Council. More importantly, he is a graduate of this program. He competed in this program. He made it to the final round in this program.
First of all, I want to congratulate all of you for your participation in this competition. My name is Edouard Estrada, and I'm an attorney for the city of New York. 18 years ago, I was in the very same spot that you are today. I was a 7th grade participant in the Thurgood Marshall Junior Mock Trial Competition. Today, I am a trial attorney and one of the proud coaches of the Kappa 3 Middle School Mock Trial team. Now, there are two reasons I think this competition is important. The first reason is that it helps students realize that they can become attorneys. I was born and raised in the South Bronx, raised by a single mother on welfare and in the projects. My coach, the Honorable Sally Manzanet Daniels, was not only the first attorney that I ever met, but more importantly, she was also born and raised in the South Bronx. She made me believe that someone who came from my neighborhood and looked like me could become an attorney. The other reason this program is important to me is that it's the beginning of a mentoring relationship. Judge Manzanet Daniels mentored me long after this program had ended. My team didn't win that year, but that did not stop her from believing in me. She got me into high school and wrote me a recommendation to college, my master's program, and ultimately, law school. It doesn't matter whether you won or lost in this competition. You have acquired the skills, motivation, and work ethic to succeed in life. Use those skills that you've acquired in this competition to accomplish your dreams. Stay in touch with your coaches and allow them to mentor you. Allow them to help you accomplish your goals so that one day you can return as an alumni and, like me, become a coach and pay it forward. Thank you.
It's our 20th anniversary. In our 10th anniversary, 10 years ago, we had as a guest the Honorable Judith Kay. She's passed, the late Honorable Judith Kay. She came and celebrated our 10th anniversary, and this year we have a special guest, as I mentioned a little earlier, United States Supreme Court Justice, the Honorable Sotomayor.
Don't let yourselves be bystanders in your life. If you stand back and let things happen to you, you're playing victim. We have to be participants in life. We have to take charge of our own lives and what happens to us. We have to work at creating the world we want. Nobody can sit back and be silent in this life. We don't have that choice. Laws and elections don't happen to you. They happen because people let them happen. So if you don't like a law, figure out how to change it. Get out there and work at changing those things in life that you think are wrong. Because it's people who think that something's important to them who make things happen. And so if you're frustrated, you have congressmen, you have elected officials, you have a president, you have people who you can write to and express your views. If there's a law you don't like, get out there and work in having the law changed. In short, don't be bystanders. Be active participants in the life that's happening to you and with you. So that's what law is about. Law is about fixing our relationships with one another. When you think about a law, okay, think about a simple law. You stop at a red light and you go on a green light, right? Everybody gives up something to obey that law. It means that you can't get to where you want to go as fast as you would like to, right? You have to stop at the red lights. And you would like to go where you're going much faster, but you don't. Why? Because the law tells you you'll get punished if you break it, right? But more importantly, you know that by giving up a little bit of your time, more people in our society will get to where they're going more safely. That's the compromise of law. In some laws, someone gives something up for the better good of other people. But sometimes the law makes the wrong trade-off. And the only way that the society is going to fix that trade-off is if your voices are heard. So don't give up hope ever. We are charged with making our world a better place for each other. But you got to work at it. Nothing is for free in life. Everything requires work. You should be asking yourself, is this something that's important for me to do? And it doesn't have to be changing the world. Sometimes just talking to a friend is important. But what you don't want to do is waste time. You want to make conscious decisions about what you're doing. So that's how I motivate myself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
As students celebrate their accomplishments, they remember the ideals and lessons learned throughout their weeks of training.
You're looking at a group of people from every race, from every ethnicity. We have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Jews, we have Dominicans, we have Puerto Ricans, we have Irish, we have Greek, we have African Americans, we have Vietnamese, we have Cambodian, we have and I'm missing some. And we have every Chinese, this young Chinese boy, he's like the unicorn. This guy is like the unicorn of the competition. And we really are blessed. And it just goes to show how hard work and dedication can really unify everybody.
I want to acknowledge that this program would not be the success that it is today without all of the volunteers, each and every one of them. In our 20 years, I would say that we've touched thousands, if not tens of thousands, of students' lives. It makes me feel proud and gives me a sense of accomplishment.
Closing out the trials in the rotunda, each student celebrated the opportunities and lessons they have learned in the program, as well as the goal that Judge Taylor has worked to accomplish, right here in the Thurgood Marshall Mock Trials.